So I'm getting a chip implanted into my brain. There's a study happening in LA and I'm going over there to get this chip implanted in my brain so that I can pay my rent. They're gonna compensate me heavily for my participation and all the data that they retrieve. So you're basically talking to a future robot. I'm so excited.
I put a microchip in my arm and it's the best thing ever. This chip is a powerhouse. It's got everything I need. A credit card, my ID, my medical info, and even my keys. And when it's time for groceries, you just tap your wrist and bam! Transaction done. It's like magic. In a medical emergency, it can save my life. Experts can easily identify me and my medical history. I feel like a sci-fi character and I'm loving it. This amazing chip is totally free. That's right, no more digging into your pockets. And the best part, the surgery is quick. They'll give you a cookie afterwards.
Another place that India leads, but there's a lot more that all of you can be involved in driving forward, is this digital public infrastructure. You know, no country is more able to take government benefits and get them out efficiently and effectively to their citizens than India. You know, you would have expected rich countries or others to do that, but in fact, they did not. And so that basic structure that starts with identity and bank accounts and payments is just foundational. And as part of this visit, I'm now seeing how that foundation is being built out in agriculture with profiles of farmers to understand what they need and give them advice, built out with health records so that we can help people not only with infectious diseases, but the challenge that's coming in the future with the growth of the non-communicable diseases being a huge thing. And that digital public infrastructure will help us with these climate problems. I was in Odisha yesterday, and what they showed is that they've registered the farmers and registered what type of crops they grow and what land they own. They literally have a control center. You know, when you walk in, you think, wow, this is agriculture, but you know, you've got a command center and maps and people doing queries and sending out messages. And so that all starts, you know, with an Aadhaar identity, listing those farmers, getting the information, making sure.
This is Revelations 13 and 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. This is where 666 comes from. Kahala Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Rekapodash, which is the true Hebrew names of the Most High Father, Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, whose true name is Yahweh Shai, which is Hebrew for He is salvation. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who the house of David reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the devils in power, and not just this devil, Bill Gates, but the people that he belongs to, his people, right? Those being the biblical Edomites, or as what we would refer to them today as the Israeli and the Caucasian race. You see, because over history, since basically the beginning of our civilization, or the current civilization that we are a part of, these people who Bill Gates is part of, the Edomites, again, just to let you know, let's go to the Bible timeline, so this way you understand when the so-called white man came into being. Now, let's go here. So, Esau, who these white people come from, this is recorded in secular history happening around 1791 BC. basically in the 1800 BCs. Okay, that's, rounding it off. So these devils have only basically been on Earth, in this iteration for about close to 4,000 years. Okay, so 3,800 years. So that being said, since this time, and by the way, so if you're unaware of this, Esau is actually Cain in the reincarnation. So remember Adam and Eve, the fall from the garden, when Cain killed his brother Abel. This was Esau. Okay, before Esau came as Esau, he came as Cain, right? And after Cain died, right, he went on to establish, or before Cain died, he went on to establish, the town of Enoch and so forth, right? But then what happened is Noah's great flood came, and Cain, along with all his descendants in that lineage, they all died off in the great flood. Now, what happened is, it wasn't until Esau was born that Cain came back in the reincarnation. And these people here, these Edomites, these are the descendants of Esau, okay? And since the time that they came on the scene, right, for the most part, Esau has been running from his heritage, right, his true identity. They went into the Hamites, became known as part of the Hittites, right, the pride of the Philistines. They went into the Ishmaelites, right? They started marrying into them, and started to call themselves the Nabateans when they really weren't the true Nabateans, right? And these devils have basically spread themselves all over the world, just how the Lord has spread us Israelites all over the world. So that's why there's going to be Edomites out of every nationality in the world, but they are predominantly found within the Caucasian and the Israeli race. Now, that being said, I wanted to make this video because these devils, regardless of all the psyops and all the agendas and all the distractions that they're pushing right now with the whole Charlie Kirk bullshit thing, the attack in Iran, the Epstein files and all that stuff, this is one of the primary agendas that they're pushing, and they're doing this secretly. Okay, so much so that you have those videos, like those first two videos that I showed, just showing you how destroyed and cooked this population is. You have people willing to accept this chip, and right now in what is a so-called study, right, as long as they get paid. But what's going to eventually happen is, and as in the video where Killed Bates was talking about, he was there in India, and he was talking about like this, right? He says, digital ID will be necessary to defend against the dangers of misinformation. So he was basically going on and talking about the benefits of a digital ID and how you're going to need it to basically work within the new future society that is being built. Okay, there's and one thing that he mentioned is the Aadhaar digital payment system. Now, Aadhaar is basically the digital payment system that India implemented. Just how over in China, let me see, is this no, I'm trying to find the Aadhaar pictures. This right here is just showing how here in the States they're trying to move away from cash. Because why? Well, because they're making that move towards that RFID implantable chip, which that second girl was touting the benefits of it, and the first girl was giving an excited declaration that she's about to be in that study. Yeah, Aadhaar is basically India's digital ID system, right? Remember, they rug pulled their citizens and basically told their citizens that they were going to turn off all cash in the country within a week. Okay, and why do they do that? Well, because India, just like China, these are test beds for the globalist New World Order. Okay, Esau's world empire that he is trying to establish and bring forward subtly. But again, it's very obvious what they're doing, right? So much so where you have devils like Bill Gates. They're in India trying to present the digital ID, and then the subsequent, implantable chip that's going to come after it. Because again, what's the point of a digital ID? Well, it's so that way you could have it on a chip that you could then install in yourself. Well, what eventually is gonna happen is, just like this devil was doing, they're gonna start touting the benefits, right, for your security, your medical records, and all these things, right? They're gonna talk about how the people, who get it are gonna be in an advantage because they'll be able to participate in parts of society which have been set up for it. Okay, and then eventually they're gonna make the people who decide not to take it, that's gonna be, Lord willing, us, the part of the hopeful elect, right? And then plus there's gonna be lots of people in the world that just aren't gonna take it because they've read the Bible and they just are inherently against it. Well, what's gonna eventually happen is that the non-chipped people will be ostracized and will be counted as the enemies, right? The terrorists who aren't complying, who are making everybody unsafe, right? Remember when the whole C-19 was going on, what was one of the trademark? They would say, nobody is safe till everybody is safe, right? Meaning that unless everybody took the jabs, the people who took the jabs, their jabs wouldn't work, which is a total fucking, it's a mental fallacy, man, right? If you took jabs, shouldn't that protect you? But a lot of people, unfortunately, like those two girls in the beginning of this video, they don't use their brains anymore, right? As Apostle Tahar says, right? They just use their heads for coat racks. And that's the thing, right? We're already in this transition, Akim, right? These devils have started the transitions ever since 2001, right? The whole tower, trade towers being taken down was a sign that they are going to pull forward and move to the New World Order. And that's what happened, right? They had initiated this from a long time ago, right? This is why they had started these chips in animals, right? First the testing, and then they came along and offered it for the pets, so that way you could track your pets and make sure they're safe, and in case they ever get lost, they can get returned to you. Well, eventually they're going to do the same, carrot and then eventually the stick approach with humans, right? People, the early adopters are going to take it, and then they're gonna fall for the trick. This is Proverbs 22:3. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. And those people, those two girls, they thought that they were doing something, right? They thought that this was a benefit, right? But what's going to eventually end up happening, they're going to start developing those grievous sores, right? Basically cancerous marks upon them, right? Wherever that chip was implanted, right? And it's going to happen because of all the frequencies and everything that's going on. They're basically going to radiate themselves, right? And like the Bible says, right? They're going to have grievous sores upon themselves, right? Along with that, they're going to do something that's even worse, which is they're going to sell their soul or they're going to give their soul to Esau. Because you see, you got to understand, these devils, when I say these devils, I'm talking about these Edomites, okay? These Edomites, they have to operate by a certain code of conduct, right? Because remember, their power comes from the left-hand side, right? They deal with left-hand angels, or what is more commonly known as demons. And these demons are very litigious, okay? They follow laws and ordinances, okay? And this is why you have to agree to certain things. This is why they have to do things like revelation of the method, where they tell you what they're going to do before they do it. And these devils are sneaky as fuck, right? This is why they'll tell you what they're doing in comedy, in satire, in dry wit, which the majority of the population doesn't get. Well, that is what they're doing, right? But in telling you what they're doing and following these certain laws of the universe that basically are set by God, they have to do certain things, and that's, you know, to tell you what they're doing. Now, this here is the law in Exodus that explains why they're doing what they're doing, because they don't just want to chip you because they want to see where the hell you are in your neighborhood or where you're going to buy your fucking favorite noodles. No. They want to own your soul. They want to own you forever. Okay? And it tells you, because this is the law, right? This is Exodus 21:5. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door, or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. You see that, Akim? That is what this is all about. Okay? That's the plain truth. That's what these devils are doing. Okay? And so if you don't understand what that is right here, an awl, this is it tells you here, it says, in the Bible, an awl, or martzi, is a small pointed tool used to bore holes. Basically, it's an ice pick, right? Really, they use it to do leather work and make the holes in the leather so you could run string through it. It says, primarily known from Exodus 21:6 and Deuteronomy 15:17, where it is used as a ritual to signify a Hebrew servant's permanent commitment to their master, piercing their ear to the doorpost as a symbol of willing, lifelong service. The act symbolized obedience and dedication, reflecting a covenant of servitude, and later spiritually, right? And later spiritually. It's seen as a metaphor for believers opening their ears to God's word. Now, that being said, these devils want you to make an oath to them, right? What is that oath? Well, that you'll serve them forever. Okay, and where are you going to serve them? In their heaven, right? In their perpetual rulership, which they are trying to cement. But like the Bible tells us, they're going to fail, right? When they are about to fill their belly, then the Lord shall strike them through, like it tells us in Job. You see, the Lord, being very fair as He is, He has given all of the heathen nations, that would be 17 of the 18 biblical nations that are mentioned in Deuteronomy 10 on down. It tells you that the Lord was going to use these other nations to test us Israelites. Okay, in Judges 2:20, right? It tells you that this is why the Lord didn't drive these devils out. And then second, the Lord, being fair, He has given all these heathen nations a chance to rule upon earth, okay, and to have their own kingdom, their own 15 minutes of fame, right? And then their conduct, during their time of rulership is going to basically dictate what type of judgment they're going to receive, how heavy it is, right? Like, for example, when you look at the nation of Edom, the Caucasian and Israelis, their judgment is very harsh, right? To the point where they're going to eventually go extinct after the 1,000 years of, hard bondage. Now, other nations like Iran, for example, right, Persia, right, or they're going to more likely receive a lighter sentence. And why is that? Well, because of their conduct with the Israelites, how they were involved in freeing the southern kingdom from the ancient Babylon back in the day, right? They're going to war with modern Babylon, right? They're very modest and very religious, right? So the thing is it's I don't want to digress, but the point being is that right now the Lord is giving these Edomites their time under their sun, okay? And they know their time is over, or it's coming to a close, which is why they're crashing out, and why they're trying to implement these agendas so that way they could solidify their rulership upon earth. But it ain't going to work. So either way, Akim, I just wanted to share this video, right? I wanted to remind us that though all these other agendas and distractions that Esau's putting out there, we got to remember that these devils are still bringing forth the mark of the beast. Okay, these devils are still out on symposiums, speaking up the game and trying to make these chips sound like the next best thing to sliced bread. So we can't forget this and then focus on other things, right? We got to focus on everything. Okay, so either way, hopefully this video was edifying. Until the next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushai, B'Hashem Ruach HaKodesh, Shalom.